In this video, we explore the drastic steps taken under former President Donald Trump's administration that have reshaped climate policy in America. From withdrawing from the Paris Agreement to suspending new offshore wind leases, these actions have significant implications for both the environment and the future of renewable energy in the U.S. Join us as we delve into how this administration has actively dismantled federal climate initiatives and prioritized fossil fuel production over sustainable practices. Discover the extent of these changes and their lasting impact on our planet. 1. Withdrawal from the Paris Agreement. On January 20, 2025, President Trump signed Executive Order 14,162, directing the United States to withdraw from the Paris Agreement and other international climate commitments. This move marked a significant shift in American foreign policy, as the Paris Agreement was a global pact aimed at combating climate change by reducing greenhouse gas emissions. The withdrawal signifies a departure from the previous administration's emphasis on international cooperation for climate action. Critics argue that this decision undermines global efforts to address climate change and isolates the U.S. from other nations committed to environmental sustainability. 2. Halting renewable energy projects. The Trump administration has suspended federal approvals for wind projects and frozen funding for solar initiatives. This decision aligns with the administration's preference for fossil fuel development over renewable energy sources. By halting these projects, the U.S. is potentially missing out on opportunities to harness clean energy and reduce carbon emissions. Renewable energy advocates emphasize the importance of wind and solar power as sustainable alternatives to fossil fuels, which contribute significantly to climate change. The suspension of these projects raises concerns about the future of renewable energy in the U.S. and its ability to transition to a more sustainable energy system. 3. Declaring an energy emergency. President Trump declared an energy emergency to expedite fossil fuel development, excluding renewable energy from this initiative. This declaration aims to accelerate the production and use of fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and natural gas. By prioritizing fossil fuel development, the administration seeks to boost domestic energy production and reduce reliance on foreign energy sources. However, critics argue that this approach neglects the environmental impact of increased fossil fuel consumption and fails to address the urgent need for sustainable energy solutions. The exclusion of renewable energy from the energy emergency underscores the administration's focus on traditional energy sources. 4. Suspending new offshore wind leases. An executive order was issued to suspend new federal offshore wind leases, affecting states like New Jersey, which have halted awarding new offshore wind contracts. Offshore wind energy has been recognized as a promising source of renewable energy, with the potential to power millions of homes. The suspension of new leases raises concerns about the future of offshore wind development in the U.S. and its ability to contribute to a clean energy transition. Environmentalists argue that offshore wind energy is crucial for reducing carbon emissions and combating climate change, and the suspension of new leases represents a setback for renewable energy progress. 5. Rolling back environmental regulations. The administration has initiated actions to roll back various environmental regulations, including those aimed at reducing greenhouse gas emissions and protecting clean air and water. By relaxing these regulations, the administration seeks to reduce regulatory burdens on businesses and promote economic growth. However, critics argue that rolling back environmental protections compromises public health and the environment. Regulations aimed at reducing emissions and protecting natural resources are seen as essential tools in addressing climate change and preserving the planet for future generations. The rollback of these regulations raises concerns about the long-term impact on environmental quality and sustainability. 6. Dismantling federal climate policies. Federal climate policies have been put on hold, making it unlikely that the U.S. will meet its emissions reduction targets. The dismantling of these policies reflects the administration's shift away from climate action and environmental stewardship. Critics argue that delaying or eliminating climate policies hinders progress in addressing the global climate crisis and jeopardizes efforts to mitigate its impacts. The lack of federal commitment to climate action raises questions about the U.S.'s role in global efforts to combat climate change and its ability to meet international obligations. The uncertainty surrounding federal climate policies underscores the need for a comprehensive and coordinated approach to addressing climate change. 7. Reducing climate finance assistance. Internationally, the U.S. is expected to reduce climate finance assistance to vulnerable nations, impacting global efforts to combat climate change. Climate finance plays a crucial role in supporting developing countries in their efforts to adapt to and mitigate the impacts of climate change. The reduction of U.S. climate finance assistance raises concerns about the ability of vulnerable nations to address climate-related challenges and build resilience. Critics argue that reducing climate finance undermines global solidarity and cooperation in tackling the climate crisis. The decision to decrease climate finance assistance reflects the administration's broader approach to prioritizing domestic interests over international commitments. 8. Appointing fossil fuel industry leaders. The administration has appointed individuals from the fossil fuel industry to key positions, influencing energy policies in favor of fossil fuels. These appointments reflect the administration's commitment to promoting traditional energy sources and reducing regulatory barriers for the fossil fuel industry. Critics argue that appointing industry leaders to influential roles creates conflicts of interest and prioritizes industry interests over environmental protection. The influence of the fossil fuel industry on energy policies raises concerns about the long-term sustainability of the U.S. energy system and its ability to transition to cleaner energy sources. The appointments highlight the administration's focus on fossil fuels as a cornerstone of its energy strategy. 9. Merging USAID with the State Department. Plans to merge the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, with the State Department have been announced, potentially affecting international environmental aid programs. USAID plays a vital role in providing humanitarian assistance and supporting development initiatives, including environmental programs. The merger raises concerns about the future of international environmental aid and the U.S.'s ability to support global environmental efforts. Critics argue that merging USAID with the State Department may lead to reduced focus on environmental issues and diminished resources for international aid programs. The potential impact on environmental aid programs underscores the importance of maintaining dedicated support for global environmental challenges. 10. Promoting fossil fuel extraction. The administration is promoting fossil fuel extraction by opening up more land and waters for drilling and mining, often at the expense of environmental protections. This approach aligns with the administration's emphasis on energy independence and economic growth through increased domestic energy production. However, critics argue that expanding fossil fuel extraction poses significant risks to the environment and public health. The focus on fossil fuels raises concerns about the long-term sustainability of energy resources and the need for a balanced approach that considers environmental impacts. The promotion of fossil fuel extraction reflects the administration's prioritization of economic interests over environmental stewardship.